All right, what is going on, everyone? We are back another Tuesday night, hanging out with the Transzone Motocross team here on the TWMX live stream. We got some news today. Get the 2026 schedule dropped today, and then just a few hours ago, we got the big news that we saw Deegan's out, Cooper's in. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. As with me, as always, I got Trey Steyer here. You can say what up, Trey. Oh, I don't hear you actually, Trey. Maybe that's me.
No, I did
Nope.
not unmute
There
myself
we are.
again. What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Schedule news, Motocross of Nations stuff. Excited to watch the action from this weekend.
Yeah, man. It's first off, how we liking the weekend off? Were you? I know I was a little anxious. I think even my body was like used to moving so much at the races every weekend, running around the track that it was like I felt like sore, like as if I was, but I wasn't. I don't know. So I didn't do
I
too
mean, it
much.
was it was definitely interesting. I didn't either, to be honest with you, but there's so much off-season racing going on that I'm going to be paying attention to. It was like, well, I can just sit back and watch some football and not have to worry about too much stuff. But at the same time, I love racing, but it's also nice to have a couple weeks off or at least one weekend off to just reset and get re-energized when there's more to come.
Yeah, it really never ends in the motocross sport. I mean, really, if you want, you could find it. It's everywhere. You know, go to the go to like just like we just had a comment. You know, local track, get that urge filled. You can go to the local track, get your moto in, get some riding in, or find a local race. I know we got some Arenacross coming up. We'll cover that a little bit at the end of the show. So we're gonna just like you said, the off season, we're gonna be busy. Not too much laying
Yep.
around. Like this weekend, we got another big race. Unfortunately, we won't be there, but we'll still probably come on next week and talk about it, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting. But let's jump right into the biggest news of the night. Deegan's out. Justin Cooper is in. I think we kind of saw that playing out throughout the week. We saw Jay Coop already on the bike a lot, already riding the number 5, 250. Easy transition for him. Uh, yeah, I think like I said, I think we just kind of saw it coming. I think I knew. I mean, I thought it was going to go a little bit closer into it. I thought maybe even all the way down, like trackside, like do qualifier and maybe call it there. But it's probably a good call. Just let everyone do it properly. Everyone get kind of. There's a lot going on there logistics wise, and I'm sure not having two people makes it a little easier on the team. And I think it's a smart call for Hayden to sit it out and just heal. There's a lot on the line for him and a big future ahead. There's no sense on going out there when you're not 100% and risking it for, I mean, risking it for America, right? So then there is a reason, I guess. But what do you think, Trey?
I think it's awesome that Justin has another chance
Yeah.
to be competing for the team. Obviously, the last time he was on Team USA, we got the victory in Redbud on home soil. I'm sure he's really motivated to do it again. For Hayden, like you said, it's interesting because this is 3 years in a row where a lot of people expected Hayden Deegan to be the 250 guy at Motocross of Nations, and he's not for several different reasons. But for all of the options we could have had, the fact that Justin and even RJ Hampshire are stepping up in absence of Chase Sexton, it's awesome to see those guys committed to Team USA and saying, you know what, the season's been long, but I'm going to be out there representing my country. And I still think that Team USA has a really good shot, at least at a podium. I think we can definitely be contenders. I'm not going to say we're on a win because I feel like Team Australia going into it with the way the Lawrence brothers have been riding, and of course Kyle Webster had a lot of success this year down under as well. I feel like Team USA are behind the eight ball. The Aussies are the heavy favorites in my opinion, but I still think we have a really good shot, and anything can happen. We're definitely going to have that home field advantage. We're definitely going to have that crowd on our side. Lots of stars and stripes and red, white, and blue in the crowd this weekend, I'm sure. But I'm always interested to see what happens. Hopefully, Team USA can put together a strong performance, even though this isn't the ideal lineup we wanted.
Yeah, I still think it's like you said, it's a pretty strong team still right there. I mean, Justin Cooper has performed a couple times. He also had 2019 on MX2,
Hmm.
but he didn't have the best results there. That was 25th, 29th, 15th overall. Obviously, 2022, a great year for us with Eli and him, and he got ninth and fourth for first. So I feel like when it comes to Justin, I always see him just trending upward, right? Like he's only been on the 450 a couple years now, and he's really just been steadily just going up. Like, and now he's to the point where we got these heavy hitters been duking it out front the whole time, but he's right there, so consistent the whole time. Will consistency work here? Hard to say. It's kind of a shootout, but at the same time, it's like they have so much going on. The points, it gets a little confusing. At the end of the day, I think all that really matters to the fans is what country won, who won. It's kind of what, at the end of the day, after the event's over, that's what everyone's talking about. Even though the move to make that win might have happened earlier in the day at the other moto with all the math. But yeah, we have a strong team. It's unfortunate what happened to the guys at the last race in Vegas. We hate to see that from Chase. Hopefully he's on. I don't think we've heard too much more on that other than that he's officially out. Um, Hayden, being out as well now, and like I said, I think that was a smart choice. That would have been hard to say. I think they were supposed to do some sort of shootout too. What I was reading, which I didn't really quite understand that. I guess it was an internal test with Yamaha, right, to see like
Yeah,
who's better, who can.
seemed like a just 1v1 between Deegan and Cooper to determine who was fastest and who was the guy ready for the call.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that was like a thing. I don't know if that's a common practice or not for something like that, but sounds like he didn't show up anyway, so maybe the decision might have already been made internally.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know
Yeah, yeah. You
anything
can only
of what happened.
speculate.
I did hear that he might not have shown up either, but you talked about consistency and how much of a factor it'll be. I think with Cooper in the MX2 class, that could honestly be a key for him running up front and potentially helping Team USA to the victory because there are a lot of really fast MX2 guys. And I think a few weeks ago, I would have said that Hayden Deegan and Kaida Wolf from the Netherlands would have been the clear favorites, but DeWolf didn't end up pulling that MX2 title off. Of course, he was behind most of the year, but I thought he was going to come back and win the championship after winning last season. You have Langenfelder from Germany, who's fresh off of the championship, Andrea Adamo from Italy, who's also a former champion. Plus, you have other guys like Sasha Kunin, Camden McClellan, Guillaume Ferrez. All of those guys have won motos this year over in Europe. Mathis Villan is a rookie, but he's also really solid and put together a strong year. There's going to be a lot of fluctuation, I feel like, in the MX2 and the 250 division because that's the way it's been all year over in Europe. And Justin Cooper is usually rock solid, really consistent. And that could be one of the keys. If Team USA does win, Cooper being really consistent on the 250, getting good starts, running up front, and putting some 450s maybe in between himself and some of the other guys, that could really help Team USA get the job done if we indeed compete for the victory.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he could actually be a big key factor. So I think overall, we're pretty happy with Team USA. I think we have a really strong team right there still. I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't
This is
even.
about as good of a backup team you could hope for, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it's hard to even call him second choice when a lot of these guys are probably a lot of people's first choices anyway. Justin Cooper, RJ Hampshire, Eli Tomac. I mean, that represents our America pretty well and our riders and our athletes. And yeah, we wish them the best luck. I think obvious team favorite out there. It's hard to beat the Australian boys right now. They're just on fire. So right now, MXoN Nations, everyone comes together. We got some different riders that we're not used to seeing on the field. So I think it might be a little bit more of a toss up, or they might just kind of run away with it. We might kind of see the same thing that we usually see. And unfortunately, we won't get to see some of the battles we might have wanted to see with Hayden, or maybe to see him do the same. But any other hot takes from you, Trey? I think you're a little bit more involved and know a little bit more about the Nations race coming up. Do you got any other takes or teams you want to leave any information with, predictions before we move on to the schedule? It's kind of a short show today, guys. Just a quick stream. Just have a couple things to talk about. Yeah, take it away, Trey.
I feel like there are a lot of teams that could compete for the podium this weekend. Of course, before the Team USA selection went a little bit downhill and we had our peak team, like I was still reminded of Redbud several years ago when Eli was coming off of a title, Aaron Plessinger was coming off a title in the 250 class, Justin Barsha was running really well and winning nationals, and we just came out really flat at Redbud. And I was afraid of that this year because there were a couple rounds. Tomac most of the summer really strong. Of course, the playoffs he was really strong, but there were a couple rounds. Like I think back to Millville and he was like 8th place. He was just uncharacteristic. He was off a little bit. And I was like, if that happens on Motocross of Nations, we're going to be at a major disadvantage when we're competing against guys like the Lawrence brothers. The team I really go to, besides the US, that I think can compete for the victory and maybe upset the Australians is Team Netherlands. It's because of their experience, because of their talent level. You have two of their guys, their two 450 guys, Glenn Coldenhoff and Calvin Vlanderen. Both of them have been on a Team Netherlands Motocross of Nations winning team before back in 2019. Coldenhoff potentially wrapping up his MXGP career. He had a really solid season. He was third in points over there aboard his Fantic, and he really doesn't have a deal for next year right now. I don't think he's going to be returning to MXGP. There's a chance Glenn wants to come over here and ride in America, and he's going to want to go out there and prove, like, you guys are making a mistake by not bringing me back to an elite organization. And like I mentioned, Vlanderen, he has a lot of success at the Motocross of Nations in the past as well. He was sixth in points in MXGP, nothing crazy, but he started racking up a few podiums at the end of the year. And then, like I mentioned before, Kai de Wolf in the 250 division, he was last year's 250 champion over in MXGP, second place in the standings. He only lost by a few points this year. I feel like with the combined experience and then like the top end speed of the Wolf, the Netherlands could be a force to be reckoned with. And honestly, I feel like Team Italy could surprise a lot of people this weekend. Of course, Antonio Cairoli competing for them aboard the Ducati, the living legend. Of course, it's been a while since he's been full time and really at a race winning level, but he still brings that veteran expertise. And he was really solid in his races in America. And of course, when he raced here this year, it was on more of a stock production bike. If he's got the factory Ducati, the fully tricked out bike, he could improve even more. And Andrea Adamo was the 250 champion over in MXGP a couple years ago. He's solid. He's a little bit up and down at times, but when he's on, he's very fast and definitely capable of winning the 250 division. And then I think the ultimate wild card for Team Italy is a guy who a lot of people probably aren't familiar with unless you watch the MXGP series full time. But there's a young guy named Andrea Bonacorsi in the open class for Team Italy. He's also running a Fantic. It was really 2 years ago at Motocross of Nations when Andrea broke out. He was suddenly thrust aboard a 450 because a lot of their guys were injured and they didn't really have many options. So they put Andrea, who hadn't even turned pro in the 250 class yet, aboard a 450, but he's a naturally bigger guy, probably 6'2, 6'3. He's a larger athlete. And he immediately hopped on the 450 and was running top 10 last year. One of the Yamaha guys got hurt. They immediately put him on the 450 team. He performed well and he ran really well this year. A lot of top fives, a lot of top tens for basically his first full 450 season. I keep circling back to Team Italy and I think Team Belgium as well. All three of Team Belgium's riders are 21 and under. And you have Lucas Koenen, who was a rookie sensation in the 450 class in MXGP this year. He is incredibly fast, second in the points. He gave Roman Fevre fits for the championship, but ultimately there were a couple races that didn't go very well for him down the stretch. Then his brother Sasha is in the 250 class. You could almost compare them a little bit to the Lawrences because it is a brotherly duo. One of the brothers also runs 96. Lucas usually races that number in MXGP. But Sasha's problem is he's usually very fast. He's a great starter, but Sasha hits the ground a lot. His crashes are a problem, but when he shows that speed and shows that pace, he is very quick. And then in the open class, you have Liam Everts, of course, the son of Stefan Everts, possibly the greatest MXGP racer of all time, a third generation guy. Liam held the red plate earlier in the year in the 250 class. He ended up losing a little bit of ground and ended up missing a couple rounds because he had a really gnarly crash in Finland, I believe it was. But Belgium has such talent, but they're also very young. So they could podium and it wouldn't surprise me, or they could also have some issues and finish 10th and it wouldn't surprise me. But I feel like keep an eye on Italy and Belgium to potentially make some noise this weekend. And I also feel like the Netherlands are going to be up there fighting for the win with Australia, with the USA. And of course, never count out the French as well.
Yeah, and we also got a comment from someone for the record says, and Germany will be good as well.
Yeah. Kickstart Kenny,
Yep.
Langenfelder, and I heard their third guy. I've mentioned my podcast tomorrow that will be coming out is dedicated to a Motocross of Nations preview. Germany, to a lesser extent of Australia, has been a who is our third guy that we can rely on because Roxon and Langenfelder have been steady. But apparently, Maximilian Spies, who is the open class guy for Germany, has been absolutely ripping this week. He's been testing a little bit in Florida, apparently very comfortable. He's loving America right now. So keep your eye on Germany. The commenter, they might have a good take there because I think the Germans could surprise a few people as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. And do you actually know where we can watch this, Trey?
There is a streaming subscription service for
Hmm.
people who are like interested in the MXGP series, MXGP TV, I think it's called. But for people who have like traditional cable or something like YouTube TV, every moto should air on CBS Sports Network. I don't necessarily know if they'll be live or not. I feel like since they are in America, they should be live this year. Of course, a lot of times, it's overseas, like last year in the United Kingdom. Before that, it was France. So sometimes they air on a little bit of a delay, but CBS Sports Network usually streams all of the Moto 2s for MXGP during the season. And I believe they would be showing all the motos for Motocross of Nations. And I'm sure there will be other places that you might not necessarily be supposed to see the footage, but I'm sure there will be some people putting that footage out there all around the internet this weekend. So just keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know the top outlets will be covering it. Going to be a lot of fun and a lot of action everywhere. And we'll try to keep you posted and let you know how to watch it.
Yeah, hopefully we can watch all of it ourselves. That way, so we can react to it next week and talk a bit more about it. There'll be a lot to talk about then, I'm sure. Unfortunately, we are not there ourselves covering it. Just couldn't really swing it this year. As some of you may know, like I said, we're kind of this whole brand, Trends of Motocross, motocross.com, is in resurgence. We are building it back. And that's just, I didn't really have the budget to get myself to that. Kind of used it all to get to all the other races. So we're getting that all lined up for next year, talking to our partners now at the time, making those conversations, getting those things lined up. So next year's a lot more smooth and we can continue growing and covering, all the events that we can, including all these international races. And there's so many races that I would love to go to, like the World Supercross. I'd love to check those ones out. It's kind of cool. I saw Hayden also announced he's not doing MX Nations, but he will be good for World Supercross. He's doing Argentina, which I believe is in November. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's the second round of World Supercross, I believe, in early November. So he should definitely be healed up, ready
yeah,
to go for then.
there's a few
And of
people racing that
course,
one.
a lot of people who might not be familiar with World Supercross, there are going to be guys like Ken Roxon, we believe Jason Anderson, guys like that full time, Joey Savacci. And then you're going to have some other guys making cameo appearances, like Justin Cooper is going to run a couple of these as a wild card. I think maybe Eli Tomac is running a couple as a wild card, Tom Vial. So definitely some bigger name folks to keep an eye on. The series starts, I think, October 17th or 18th. They start in Malaysia. They have a few rounds around the world. Argentina, Canada. I believe they have an Australian round. They've had one every year. And then South Africa in mid December is the finale of World Supercross, a short series, but more racing. And one of the things unique about WSX this year, they're going to have some electric bikes competing with the internal combustion
Yep.
bikes. The Stark Future brand has a team. The infamous Vince Friese is a part of that lineup. So now he has went from assassin to silent assassin. It's going to be fun to watch, but World Supercross is definitely going to be on our radars as well. As you mentioned, Hayden Deegan will be racing at round 2 in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and like to repeat myself from previous shows, like we're the whole purpose of the show we're doing now. These live streams are meant to be, just that, a live stream, something that I would like to do every Tuesday. The original plan was, hey, let's hit these first 3 SMX shows. So even this show right now is kind of a bonus show because it's been going well. So we're just kind of keeping it going. I'm going to try to do as many as I can until A1 and hopefully hit it hard in A1 and have the backing that we need and just really keep these things going. So I'm really glad you guys like this format. It's cool to see the comments coming in. That's what I like. That's what we're trying to do. And let's move on to our other big thing that happened today, which is the 2026 Supercross and Motocross and Super Motocross schedule has been released. Some changes, some pretty big changes from this year, from last year. I know one of the things I noticed right away was Seattle being moved up to February. Let me just pull up the schedule real quick. You can kind of see right
Yeah,
here.
that's a very
Actually,
interesting call.
I got a better angle. There we go. So
Better for travel for some of the teams and stuff, but probably going to be pretty chilly up in the Pacific
yeah, I
Northwest
was
in
thinking that.
February.
I was like, we got right here Seattle, February 14th.
Happy
I was gonna
Valentine's
say that
Day.
there's
Freezing in
Valentine's
the
there, yeah.
Northwest.
So we'll be in Seattle, Washington. I have to book a dinner on the Space Needle or something. I guess that day or the next day or something to make up for it. But um, bring your rain boots. It's gonna be cold. Probably gonna be raining. Usually, I think it's in April. I think the one good thing
Mhm.
there is we're not driving back and forth so much. At least the rigs, the people that I kind of feel bad for the rigs when they got to drive
Yeah.
all the way back and then drive all the way back for Seattle. It's kind of always how it goes. So this time it's literally like all the West Coast rounds just getting knocked out. And then
Yeah, it was like Birmingham to Seattle to Foxborough or something this year, which was
yeah,
absolutely insane for those guys. But yeah, a lot
yeah,
of very West Coast heavy at the start of the year. You first 6 rounds in a row, and then Arlington is an East Coast race, which of course, when I started watching the sport, Arlington was always kind of the kickoff round for the East Coast Championship. So a little bit of familiarity there, in my
yeah.
opinion,
It's
and
funny we got the
also
Houston and the
Daytona
Arlington.
in February.
Got a East and a West round both in Texas.
hmm
And then Daytona, which kicks off the first East first West, right? Or is
First
that
East
one?
West is in Birmingham,
Oh,
actually,
really? Okay.
a couple weeks later.
Oh yeah,
But
okay.
Birmingham, St. Louis, I believe, is also East West this year, and of course, the finale at Salt Lake City will be East West, and then your Triple Crowns will be Houston. You just mentioned Houston.
Right,
That will
that's
be
what.
the first Triple Crown of the year, and the only Triple Crown for the 250 West guys. And your other ones are on the East, which would be Indianapolis, and the brand new spot, Cleveland, for the
Cleveland,
first time
30
since
years.
1995, only the second time ever that Cleveland has hosted a race, and they will have a Triple Crown. So shout out to all the Ohio fans out there. You guys finally get your first Supercross or motocross race since 2004 or whenever Kenworthy's shut down.
Yeah, that's gonna be really exciting. I'm excited for that. I don't think I've been to Cleveland. I've been to most places, but I don't think I've been there yet. So it's always exciting to check out new spots. But yeah, so that's the biggest changes for sure. You kind of already highlighted them. I think St. Louis as well being in there will make that'll definitely make it so the SMX will not have it there again. I believe they usually just swap out the middle one. I want to say I have a strong feeling it's going to go back to ZMAX again and then Vegas, but I think they'll have a new one for maybe the middle one or the first one. They might move them around. Um,
Also, Nashville is back on the calendar as well
yeah,
in the Supercross schedule. We have a few. Of course, we had that East Coast swing last year. Usually Jersey and Foxborough kind of swap in and out, but both were on the schedule last year. They are absent this year. Tampa's like an
no
every other
Tampa.
year, every few year races. It's out. Pittsburgh's out. A lot of that, I think, is because Pittsburgh is hosting the NFL draft on the weekend that they hosted their race this season.
That was a
Because I
fun
feel
one.
like, I mean, I was biased personally because it was the closest Supercross race that's ever been to home for me. But it seemed like there was a really great turnout. And I think if it wasn't for setting up and all the preparation that they have to do and welcoming so many people in for the NFL draft, I feel like going back to Pittsburgh would have been a no brainer.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh was a. I just remember the vibe there. Everyone loved it. All the industry, the riders. I think it just kind of felt like a breath of fresh air. I don't know what it is. I think the small, big city vibe. It's like you can scooter from the stadiums right into the city, into the restaurants, and the stream. And I don't know. I thought it was cool. I've never been there before. Love the stadium. Love the yellow seats. Um, yeah, I was kind of bummed we're not going there as well. But the Nashville one, I don't think I've been to that stadium. When was the last time we had Supercross there? Do you know?
We had a Nashville race last year, I believe.
Last
It's
year?
been kind of on and off. Yeah, 2024 we
Oh, I
had
must have
a
not been
Nashville
that
race.
one.
It was East West, but
Huh.
it's been kind of on and off. It's been one of those ones. I think 2019 might have been the first year of it. It was gone for a couple years, then it had it a couple years in a row, then it was off again this year. So it's one of those rounds. I know a lot of guys really love going to Nashville. Big vibes in Nashville. A lot of fun and partying to be had, but it's cool to see it back on the schedule,
Well,
replacing one of those 4 rounds.
yeah, no, I like the changes honestly. I think we had to dance around a little bit of the World Cup too. That's coming out here next year with the stadiums and stuff. So I know that kind of affected things. Outdoors, obviously, there's not really much change other than the Ironman at the end. Now they swap these three around a little bit, but
Yep.
uh,
Ironman back in the finale.
yeah,
Also, Redbud back in front of Southwick. Of course, Redbud keeping its 4th of July spot. Now there's going to be 2 weeks again between High Point and round 5, which this year is Redbud instead of just 1 week between rounds. But that's really the only changes. I mean, I'm sure 99% of motocross fans expected all of those 11 tracks to be back, and they were.
yeah.
Just a couple swap places. Ironman back in its usual spot as the finale. Of course, they had to move it up this year for Motocross of Nations preparation, but definitely stick tuned to our site because we don't know yet about these playoff races where they'll be. Like Gavin said, I mean, I feel like personally there's probably a good chance that we go back to Charlotte, we go back to Las Vegas, but we don't have confirmation of the SMX playoff races yet. So definitely be tuned in to our site so you guys can stay informed and see, hey, maybe there's a playoff race near me this year.
Yeah, and they've been pretty fun so far. I think. I mean, they did their job at the last one. That's for sure. They got the hype. They made winner take all. I saw Hayden's explanation a little bit, going for a cat and mouse, not too trying not to be too aggressive. And even Joe kind of agreed it could have been harder, but that's a whole nother story. We won't get into that right now. We'll just stick to today's news. I think that really wraps up the schedule. There's not some changes, but it still feels pretty familiar. It looks about the same. I think for me, my goal is perfect attendance. Last year, this year, I missed like a couple in the middle of Supercross, beginning middle, because that's when I was moving. We moved cross country, and I got sick, so missed like two or three. Otherwise, I made everything else. So I think this year, obviously, perfect attendance is going to be the goal. And with the backing and the things that we have coming, I think it's going to be a lot easier. So I really hope everyone liked what we did this year, the content that we brought. Doing everything I can to, bring back Transit Motocross to get it as bigger and better than ever. I appreciate people that help me like Trey. We got Josh, my photographer. He's also a big help with us and our content, and really hoping to just keep making this bigger and more real for all of us. And yeah, we're excited to get into next year. Let's jump into one more thing before we go. As always, we got to keep checking out the Partzilla Arenacross series, because that is just when we thought we were taking a break. Nope.
2 weekends away.
Nope. No break. I didn't even Google. Why are we getting Partzilla Arenacross? Let's do this.
October 17th, Clarksville, Tennessee. If there are any Tennessee or surrounding area fans in the chat, you got an Arenacross headed near you all around the Southeast this year. Georgia fans, Louisiana, Alabama, Virginia, some states that we don't typically have supercross or motocross rounds at, but this could be a really good chance for you to check out some action. As Gavin's mentioned in previous episodes, you could see some solid guys there. Some Club MX guys might be there, PRMX might be there, Dirt Bike Depot guys. Of course, Luke Neese, I know, is definitely back in the series this year. He's the defending 250 class champion of the Partzilla Arenacross series. Plus, there might be some top level amateur guys showing up, getting some experience, some gate drops under their belt. And Arenacross is generally just a fun time. Always a lot of fun to watch. Really tight, bar banging action. Should be a lot of fun. I encourage you to check out the Partzilla Arenacross series.
Yeah, I will be at the first one for sure. I'll be at a handful of these. Even Duke Gomez, which I think is hilarious. That influencer cracks me up. He's going to be at the Clarksville, Tennessee one racing, and it's going to be good. These stadiums are all like basketball, hockey style stadiums. So they're nice arenas. They all have like little mini jumbotrons. Just gonna look really nice. It's not just like a rundown arena or nothing like that. These are gonna get a lot of fun. Just like I see you guys commenting, yes, the arenas do get wild. I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit of arena cross, a little bit of arena crash. You know how it goes. But no rest for the wicked. We pretty much go straight into just a couple weeks away, a few weeks away. I'll be going right to the Arenacross action. We are a presenting sponsor for the series, so you're going to see a lot of activity on our social media. I'll probably do some follow-up shows on Tuesdays as well, talking about the races, the ones that we're at, and then encourage everyone to look this up. It's on the East Coast. If you can be a part of it, please come check it out. I do plan, me and the TriStar Racing Series here have a good relationship. We plan on keeping this going for a long time. Maybe we'll do some outdoor series as well, some representation there, trying to really bring back the races for Transit Motocross, but also just, going back to the roots, hanging out with everyone, just seeing some awesome racing. It never ends. We will be at Arenacross. It will also air on Fox Sports, FS1, FS2. So be on the lookout for that. It's usually like the week after each event. Take a screenshot of this. Come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think that is just about it, though. Trey, where can we find you? What do you got coming out tomorrow? What are you guys talking about?
Episode 15 of my podcast, The Sire Sound, is coming out. And like I mentioned, it is a dedicated episode to previewing the Motocross of Nations. If you might be unfamiliar with some of the MXGP guys, tune in. Maybe you can learn a little bit about them. We preview all the top contenders, all the top level guys, plus some wild cards, some potential spoilers. We run things down. Myself and my usual co host, Jack Noel, we are joined by Edward Heather, who is an up and coming journalist over in the MXGP side of things. He was at a lot of MXGP rounds this year, and he gave a little bit of his perspective from watching the races over in Europe. And we also got the chance to interview a rider who will be competing for Team Spain in the MX2 class, Guillaume Ferez. Some people might remember him from competing in America. He, of course, was on Triumph's factory team in MXGP this year, won a moto, and he was on our show, talked a little bit about Team Spain and their preparation for this year. It's called The Steyr Sound. It'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all the major podcast platforms. You can find me at TJ Steyr3, TJ STIRE 3 on Instagram, at Steyr23, STIRE23 on X. Thanks for tuning in, folks, once again. Stay tuned to motocross.com, TWMX, DOTCOM on Instagram, because I plan on doing a couple Motocross of Nations articles on the Transworld site this week as well. Going to run down the top level contenders, who we can expect fighting for the win, and also some potential surprises. Going to be keeping you guys informed and hopefully explaining a little bit more about the European racers that some folks may not know as much about, but I'm sure the hardcore fans can't wait to see some of these guys come over and mix it up this weekend. But once again, thanks for tuning into our streams. Not a whole lot to cover today, but Motocross of Nations this weekend. Of course, the new schedule is out. Racing will be back before we know it. Angel Stadium, January 10th. Going to be a lot of fun to cover this off season, and of course, I'm sure we'll have a lot of silly season stuff to unpack and to really chat about soon as well.
Yeah, thanks again, Trey. You guys, please check him out on his socials. Like you said, Trey has been a big part of this and big help to me and helping me be in the show as well. He's yeah, I mean, like I said, guys, I'm gonna be honest. This part of it is new to me. I like doing content. That's what brought me to this position. Trey's a good information guy. He just knows all the stats and is comfortable within the podcast and the things that he does. So I really appreciate him for being on here. Please give him a follow. Help him grow in the industry as well for his bright future in this industry. So thank you guys for joining. Let's try it. We'll try to keep coming on. Might be kind of random here and there. Usually it's going to be probably always a Tuesday night. But right now, eventually I want it to be every Tuesday, probably starting in Supercross. And then we'll always have something to talk about, and we'll just keep it going. But appreciate you guys' support. The best thing you can do is like this video, comment on it, engage with us like you guys have been doing, and keep an eye out for us. We'll be here next Tuesday. We'll be talking about MX of Nations and going over all the craziness that happens there. So please check out parts of the Arenacross. Also be on the lookout. I'll be doing an interview tomorrow with Bobby, the owner of the series. Just going to ask him some questions. We're going to put an article out this week about that as well. So please keep a lookout for that on motocross.com. Thanks again. My name is Gavin Ayala. You can find me on Instagram, GAVEN AYALA. And that is it for us tonight. We will see you guys later.